Have you ever wondered if dragons were real? For centuries, these magnificent fire-breathing creatures have dominated our stories, art, and even our nightmares. We see them in movies, read about them in fantasy novels, and hear tales of their legendary power. But what if I told you the story of dragons is much more complex than simple myth? What if these legends are rooted in a hidden truth, a forgotten chapter of our own history? Today, we're embarking on an epic quest to uncover the real story behind dragons. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Across the globe, from the misty mountains of China to the cold fjords of Scandinavia, nearly every ancient culture has its own version of a dragon. This is what scientists call a cultural universal, a phenomenon so widespread it makes you wonder, why? How could so many separate civilizations, with no contact with each other, all imagine the same kind of creature? Let's start in the East. In China, the dragon, or long, is a symbol of power, luck, and prosperity. Unlike the fearsome beasts of Western lore, Chinese dragons are wise, benevolent beings who control the weather and bring rain for the crops. They are depicted as long, serpentine creatures, a composite of 9 different animals, including the head of a camel, the horns of a stag, and the scales of a carp. These dragons live in rivers, lakes, and oceans, ascending to the heavens in great storms. Ancient Chinese emperors were even called the sons of the dragon, believing they were descendants of these divine creatures. The stories weren't just fairy tales, they were deeply woven into the fabric of society and belief. Now let's travel west to Europe. Here, the dragon's reputation takes a much darker turn. European dragons are often portrayed as greedy, malevolent monsters, hoarding treasure in dark caves and terrorizing villages. They are typically depicted as heavily armored, winged reptiles, breathing fire and representing chaos and evil. Think of the story of St. George and the Dragon, a classic tale of good versus evil, where a brave knight slays a monstrous beast to save a princess. This theme is repeated in countless European myths, from Beowulf battling a venomous dragon to Siegfried slaying Fafnir in Norse mythology. Here, dragons are obstacles to be overcome, ultimate tests of a hero's courage. So, we have 2 completely different views, the revered, godlike dragon of the East and the terrifying, villainous dragon of the West. How can we explain this? This is where things get really interesting. One popular theory points to the fossil record. Imagine you're an ancient farmer, digging in your field, and you unearth a set of colossal bones. You've never seen an animal this large. The skull is massive, with long, sharp teeth. What would you think you found? Without any knowledge of paleontology or dinosaurs, it's very likely you'd reconstruct it in your mind as a monstrous beast, a dragon. Scientists have found that many of the world's most famous dragon-slaying sites are located in areas rich with dinosaur fossils. For example, in China, ancient texts describe dragon bones being discovered and used in traditional medicine for thousands of years. We now know that these dragon bones were actually dinosaur fossils. The 1st century Chinese naturalist Chang Ku mislabeled a Stegosaurus fossil as a dragon. It's easy to see how the long neck and spine of a sauropod dinosaur could inspire the image of a serpentine dragon. What about the fire-breathing? This is a bit trickier, but there are some fascinating biological possibilities. Take the bombardier beetle. When threatened, this tiny insect sprays a boiling hot, noxious chemical from its abdomen. It mixes 2 chemicals in a special chamber, creating a powerful explosive reaction. Is it possible that a large, extinct reptile could have developed a similar, more dramatic biological defense? Some theories even connect the fire-breathing element to observations of methane gas igniting in swampy areas, or the dust and gas clouds from a meteorite impact. While we have no direct fossil evidence of a fire-breathing organ, nature has produced far stranger things. Another compelling idea is that dragon was a catch-all term for any large, dangerous reptile. Think about it. Our ancestors lived in a world filled with real-life monsters. There were giant crocodiles, like the Sarcosuchus, that grew up to 40 feet long. There were enormous snakes, like the Titanoboa, which was longer than a school bus. And there were giant monitor lizards, like the Megalania in Australia, which was a real-life, venomous, land-dwelling dragon. Coming face to face with one of these creatures would have been a terrifying, life-altering experience. The stories passed down through generations would naturally exaggerate their size and power, eventually transforming them into the mythical dragons we know today. The memory of these real megafauna could be etched into our collective unconscious. But let's not forget the power of the human imagination. The dragon is a perfect symbolic creature. It combines features of the animals our primate ancestors feared the most: the snake, the large bird of prey, and the big cat. A snake's body, an eagle's wings and talons, a lion's roar. A dragon is a super predator, the ultimate symbol of nature's raw, untamable power. It represents the unknown, the dangers lurking just beyond the safety of the village fire. Our brains are wired to create patterns and stories to make sense of the world, and what better story to explain the unexplainable than a tale of a giant, powerful dragon? So, back to our original question. Were dragons real? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. Were there literal six-limbed, fire-breathing, winged reptiles hoarding gold in caves? Almost certainly not. The laws of physics and biology make such a creature highly improbable. A beast that large would have immense difficulty flying, and the energy required to produce fire would be enormous. But were the stories of dragons based on something real? Absolutely. They are a fascinating blend of misinterpreted fossil discoveries, encounters with now extinct megafauna, and the deep-seated psychological fears and wonders of the human mind. The dragon is a cultural fossil, a myth that has survived for millennia because it speaks to something fundamental within us. It's a testament to our ancestors' attempts to understand a world that was far more mysterious and dangerous than ours. They didn't have science, so they had stories. And what incredible stories they were. The legacy of the dragon is still with us. It reminds us that there are still mysteries in the world, things that defy easy explanation. It encourages us to look at ancient myths not as childish fantasies, but as a window into the minds of our ancestors. The dragon is a powerful symbol of transformation, of chaos, and of the untamed wilderness. It represents the ultimate challenge and the greatest treasure. Whether it's the wisdom of the Chinese long or the ferocity of the European wyvern, the dragon continues to capture our imagination, proving that even if they never flew in our skies, they will forever live in our stories. What do you think? Do you believe dragons were real, or are they purely a product of imagination? Let me know your theories in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into myth and history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. See you next time.